The SMX Insider post-race show coming to you from Millville, Minnesota. A perfect weekend. Weather, crowd, and the storylines all converge for the Pro Motocross Championship and the SuperMotocross World Championship. Jason Wygant, James Stewart here, and there are the podium racers. It's going to be Jet and Hunter Lawrence and Chase Sexton collecting the big trophies. And I mean that both literally and figuratively.
That's an understatement. Those things are huge. I don't know. I'll be happy. I got a check in the bag for that. You know how much bags cost these days to check in?
Do they even take a bag that big?
It'd be worth it though, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you Jeremy. Well, Jeremy doesn't have to do anything. Just.
Oh, that's right. No flights.
No flights for him. He'd be home for anybody.
Yep, that's the 250 class. Great story there. There's Jet Lawrence holding that red plate for another week in the 450 class. And I feel like this was the best challenge we've seen Hunter throw at Jet in the 450 division.
Yeah, Hunter rode great today. You know, Jet mentioned it. I mean, they were clearly better than everyone else, but you know, that whole team's really figuring it out. And you can go back to even last year. Hunter seemed like a different rider when they got on this 25, but then there were some struggles. You know, he struggled a little bit in Supercross, and but they figured it out, and it was important for everyone to really attack them in this early part of the season, and they weren't able to do it. They were trying, but they weren't able to do it, and now you're starting to see these guys separate, and the confidence that they got, it's like they're working together at home, getting better and better, and it's really showing on the weekend as well.
Yeah, making for an unbeatable combination of two teammates that are also brothers that push each other on the racetrack on the weekends and then at the test track at home. And this is what's so cool about the post show. Get to see this live. There you go. Got to pose for the photos.
Getting used to that, huh?
Yeah, lots of practice.
Used to that. I believe all those #1s up there got his signature on it.
Yeah, they raffle that off for charity at the end of the year. That backdrop with all the signatures, that'd be a heck of a thing to hang in the garage.
John, Greta, I need all the merch.
Here's what it looked like at the Spring Creek National Pro Motocross Championship and SMX. Going to show you the 450 division and 250 division today. As for the 450s, Moto 1, Jet Lawrence the whole shot, Hunter Lawrence second. That seems all normal. Then things start getting a little bit crazy. We'll actually start with Tony Caroli on the Ducati having some problems here early as the brothers start to roll away. Here's Caroli on the 222 middle of the pack.
Yeah, not the way he wanted to start today, you know, and possibly his last race over here. So, yeah, get caught up. This is what happens when you don't get a good start. Guys are battling for the position, but 2 motos in a row. Last weekend, second moto, Jet Lawrence out front goes down, and the same thing here. So, he allowed his brother, Hunter Lawrence, who's riding good all day long, has been riding really good all year, but just continuing getting better out front, able to ride his own line, and it was up to Jet Lawrence to try to throw down the gauntlet, and he was able to do that, getting around Jorge Prada. You can see RJ right in front of him. Eli Tomac, him, Chase Sexton, they all saw Jet Lawrence go down, and they had a little bit of spunk to him in the beginning part of the race as Eli makes his way around Aaron Plessinger for second, who ends up pulling off because he was sick. And then this was Jet Lawrence, just really a smart racer, knowing the way this track is, knowing what's going to happen. You know, made a 2-for-1 pass right there, very smart. And that was a key pass because it didn't stop his momentum, and then he was able to run down Eli Tomac in second place, excuse me. Made short work of him. Tried his best to go after his brother, but as you mentioned on the podium, Hunter Lawrence had a good flow today. He was not able to catch him. This was Chase Sexton. It seems like this has been the problem, even in the 250 class. These guys they got pace, but by the time they get around the guys that the Hayden Deegan or Jet Lawrence is getting around, it's too far gone, and you know, he couldn't do anything. And then you see Aaron Plessinger came out after being sick last weekend, tried his best, but couldn't make it. But it was Hunter Lawrence on a 96. First moto win of the year, and looked good at doing it.
So there it is. That moto win, Jet put in a run, couldn't get to him. Sets the rematch for Moto 2. No surprise. A little shuffling in the first few turns. Guess what? The brothers are 1-2 again.
Yeah, 1-2. I said Jet wouldn't make that same mistake twice, and he didn't. Hunter Lawrence did a great job. I mean, he looked good. He put all the pressure Jet can handle. It was a tough racetrack, slippery racetrack, And these guys are this close for about 25 minutes before Jet started inking away at the end. So good job by Hunter Lawrence, but better job by Jet Lawrence, you know, making this thing work and getting another victory. And as we said in the show, 21 out of 22. That's just ridiculous,
yes,
considering all the guys that he's been racing against and still how young he is. RJ Hampshire had a good day going, fastest in that second qualifying. This is him making his way up for 4th place. Lonely ride for him today, both motos 4th place, and those guys in front of him were too far gone. And then Justin Barcia, Valentino Guillot tries to get around, and Justin tries to block him. He gets around, and you could thank Justin for that one, Valentino. I think he made you so scared that if he got back near you, he was going to relapse again, but good job by him. Another lonely ride for Chase Sexton. When you look at the lap times, he was close. I mean, he was in the same 10th and 2nd of Jet Lawrence, so the pace is there, but to do a consistency, that's where they need to work on the motorcycle, and that's what they will do. But nobody was challenging him, Jet Lawrence, at the end of the race. Got another one, and the most important one to get that overall. Jet Lawrence wins again.
This time with the 2-1, the brothers congratulate each other. They tied on points. Both had a first and a second. Better second moto is the tiebreaker. That's why Jet wins. Sexton goes 3-3 for 3rd. And you can see all that right there. Hampshire 4-4 for 4th. He has become a player. He's moving forward. A couple other favorites. Cooper Webb now out with a knee injury. Eli Tomac struggling. He goes 6-9 for 7th. Justin Cooper, big crash in practice. He goes 5-13. And Plessinger, as you saw in the highlight there, not able to compete really today with the illness. And it's affected the points big time. Yeah,
no, it affected the point. I mean, the consistency pays off when we get to the overall for the series, the whole points title with Justin Cooper. But I'm going to give a shout out to Jorge and Kawasaki. They were able to get a top 5 that second moto, so good signs for him. Hopefully they continue to build.
All right, so those are the point standings as they sit right now in the 450 class. Send it to Katie Osborne in a second. First, we combine those points. I mentioned Webb out, and he has now lost a point lead, barely, because Justin Cooper had his struggles as mentioned, but it's still enough to take over the SMX combined championship lead. And what this means is, if it ends like this, Justin Cooper will start the playoffs with the equivalent of 1 race win, and everybody else have to make up ground on him. As for Honda's good day, Katie Osborne said we bring her in. She's got Lars Lindstrom from Team Honda.
Yeah, I'd say it's a good day indeed here with Lars Lindstrom. First, congratulations. The champagne was flowing over there. and that was really cool to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, the whole team works really hard for this result, you know, and today was just an epic day of racing for the two brothers, and everybody's excited for sure.
Now, Lars, in that excitement, before everyone started celebrating, two brothers were sitting side by side. Neither of them were talking to each other after the race. You came over, and I'm painting the picture here. You came over, and it was as though you were like, okay, who do I talk to first? How do I manage this? Like, I know one might be slightly disappointed, one should be excited. As a team manager, as a person who's leading the ship here, how do you manage knowing that it is hard? You're dealing with family, but you're also dealing with competitors.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of have to just kind of go with the flow on that one and see what the best thing is that you can think of. There's no good way to go up to the guy that just lost and be like, good job, buddy. You know, like, he's definitely not happy, and he wants to figure out what he can do to win, you know, and today he got just that much closer. You know, he was able to do it in the first moto. Last weekend he wasn't able to capitalize on Jet's mistake, and today he was unbelievable the first race. And then the second race he was right there, and he pushed him the entire moto. So I think he's gonna reflect on that here in a few minutes when he gets back to the truck, and probably already, and go, okay, I got that much closer. He was right there. I can do it, and he's always been able to do that. He's always been able to go to that next level. He did it in 250s with SuperCross, even against his brother here. We talked about the other day in 2022, they had the similar type of moto, and so he's getting really close to being able to steal the thunder from Jet there. But, you know, Jet is he's incredible, and to beat him, you got to be unbelievable, which they both were today.
And the celebration between the team was really neat to see. I want to just mention to you that people have spoke very highly about the leadership that you have for Honda and the camaraderie. You know, the mechanics in the mechanics area were, high-fiving each other. They were all stoked. They're stoked for the 1-2.
Yeah, you're making me blush. So thank you very much. Now, no, I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword of having too much fun and not being serious enough, and then obviously having the fun and doing the work, and I think that's what I try to do with the guys, and give them enough leeway to do it their way, and also just to have a good time, you know, and have a relaxed atmosphere, which is not always easy to do. But with the team we have, you know, Cam and Christian are our best friends, you know. The rest of the guys have been with each other for a long time now, and it's a mix of personalities that works, and it doesn't always do that. So, and it didn't happen overnight, you know. That kind of stuff happened over time, and hiring people that work well with the team. So, really stoked on the whole team. Stoked for the guys back at the shop. All the engine guys, you know, we have 250 hole shots, and, you know, and getting there, like all the work that they've been putting in. Gil and Cody back at the shop, and development team, Wim, and then Bob and Sebastian back at the shop. So super stoked on everybody. Really, really proud of the team.
Congrats, Lars. Continue the celebrations and champagne over there.
Well, they've got a lot of practice celebrating over there at Honda. I was told some of them will be here pretty late. Got some execs from Minnesota. Bill Savino, the national sales manager, is from here. He's like, come on by. I think they almost have a feeling in the morning they're probably going to have some fun at the end of the day at this point.
Yeah, and you know, and Katie, that was a great question, because, you know, people would just think when you got a talent like Jet Lawrence and Hunter Lawrence, anybody can step into what Lars does and he'll be successful, and that's not true. His personality, him assembling that team, and it steps up from everyone at Honda. You got to have the right personalities, and it works because you have the seriousness there. You have the, you know, work ethic, a guy who's leading this team. Everybody respects. Everybody seems like they're a big family there, and that's not something that anybody can step in and do. So shout out to Lars for keeping this team together, and really it's showing on the racetrack, off the racetrack, and these guys have really got something special there.
And it really a change from what we thought of old school Team Honda a couple decades ago was maybe the most serious team in the pits. But they're having fun while tackling some very serious challenges like this racetrack that was a little different than I think a lot of people expected it to turn out today. Let's send it back to Jason Thomas.
Well, thank you, Jason. I'm sitting at the finish line. I know it's difficult to tell where I am, but so much symbolism here for Jeremy Martin and how this day played out for him. And you think about a guy, he wasn't a superstar coming out of the amateur ranks. He really overperformed every step of the way. And you think about when he broke out in 2013 and won that first Pro Motocross Championship, nobody could really believe it. I was literally, I took wagers with my best friend at the time, Chad Reed, about that he wasn't going to be able to do this. But what I saw at the time, there was so much corner speed and he had so much confidence in himself that he was able to get the job done, not once, but twice. Two-time Pro Motocross champion. And to watch him today, the amount of heart he showed after, let's face it, Hangtown was a brutal afternoon from him. He had to walk away in frustration with his head down that he didn't get to finish what he started, that 3-race deal that we learned about. So I felt like the universe owed him one today. You could say that, yeah, Joe Shimoda, tough deal with the rear brake. Hayden Deegan wasn't necessarily 100%. I'll take it, because what we all experienced today here with Jeremy Martin will not be forgotten anytime soon, and never for the people that were the locals here, the Martin family, everybody that felt the emotion down on that podium. That's something that's going to stick with us for a long time. And in this sport, it doesn't always turn out that way. There are a lot of hard stories that this sport leaves behind. Not today, though. This was one for the good guys. This is one for Jeremy Martin that will get to walk away with a smile.
Here are the highlights, 250 class from Spring Creek. And yes, indeed, this was a special one. And it was already going to be special. Jeremy Martin in the last race of his career. Regardless of the result, that was going to be cool. But then this, he whole shots the first moto of the day.
Yeah, Jeremy, what you doing, man? You got everybody in tears. And look, it was a feel-good story. Okay, he got a whole shot. That's cool. But, you know, he's going to get past. No. Mr. Martin said he came here to play. It was Seth Haymaker making the first move of the day. He said that was a nice feel-good story, but I want to lead some laps. I've been injured too. Nice move up the inside. Very fast. You can see them, both these guys, you know, bouncing going down that hill, but Seth was able to get around and started putting some distance in between him and Jeremy. And then it was Hayden Deegan making his way around Joe Shimoda, which was probably going to be his biggest fight throughout this moto, at least so we thought so. The way Joe came off the last weekend, now he's able to get around Jeremy Martin for second place and try to set his sights on Seth Haymaker, which is a couple seconds up front. But Seth did him one favor. Tips the front end, loses the front end, goes down. Could have been a lot worse than what it was, but he was able to get back up. But unfortunately for him, his troubles end up starting as he goes down a little bit later in the race.
Then Shimoda starting to go. He gets around Martin as well, chasing in front with Deegan.
Yeah, well, we know when the moto gets going, it becomes Joe time, you know, and last weekend was a big confidence booster for him, the way he rode. And once he got around Hayden, knowing Hayden's injury and Hayden's body language, we thought it was going to be over. But the number one, he just can't let it go. He went down that hill the fastest he did all day long. Kind of surprised Joe, and Joe really couldn't do anything with it. Hayden just had a little bit better pace all day long, and Hayden was able to recover and hang on to this moto. But another 3 motos in a row, or 2 motos in a row, Levi Kitchen, frustrating race. We found out that he had a couple crashes because I saw him start off around 14th and kind of stayed there and ends up going down there. And this was that moment where I was mentioning with Seth, goes down up to Mount Martin, tough hit, heard he knocked the wind out of him, and yeah, it was going to be a struggle for the rest of the day. But these two were this close this whole moto, but Hayden Deegan was able to get him, and he let Joe know over the finish line, give him a little look. This was the story. 3rd place that first moto. What a special ride by Martin. And you were thinking, he can't do no better than that.
I think he was thinking that. Interviewed him at the line. He said, I've already done what I needed to do. I hole shot one. I led some laps. But then he goes out and does it again.
Yeah, and it was a bigger hole shot than the first moto. This guy came to play. I mean, we were looking on the gate. He had tears in his eyes. Looked like he was just crying. Or maybe he was just tired, because he did mention that. And it's as we're watching Tom Vial, this is the first lap. He goes down, and probably the same thing we saw with Tony Caroli. Back of the pack, bad start, things happen. We know how tricky that entrance was on that sand roller. But Jeremy Martin, man, everybody threw it at him. This was Joe Shimoda throwing the first blow after Jeremy led a few laps in the opening, so that was really cool. Joe was able to get around him, but we heard him. A couple laps later, he ends up losing the brake, and then the guy that had no rear brake, and that was going to be difficult on any track, especially with all these hills. So then it was Hayden Deegan. After sensing all that, we saw Jeremy Martin out front. Joe, Hayden Deegan started making his way as he gets around Jalik Swoll for 4th place, and this was the moment of the race. Joe shifts down or goes to hit the brake. There's nothing there. Probably forgets, runs off the racetrack, and we were like, what's going on? And Joe's pointing. I've been in that position. You're pointing at the mechanics, thinking that he actually can do something. Let him know it ain't just me. And then it was Hayden Deegan making his way around Joe Shimoda. Joe was really struggling going down those hills, and Hayden got him off, let him know, slows down a little bit.
And that was big. That actually gave Deegan the overall at that point, because you're looking at a 1-2.
And then you're thinking, okay, Hayden's in second. He's going to run down Jeremy. No, Jeremy Martin rode probably one of his better routes his whole career. This isn't his mechanic. It's all the mechanics.
All the mechanics. Yeah. That was his brother Alex watching. Alex, former racer. The family, the Martins own the track. Alex has moved into operations. Jeremy will as well. But not before this, winning the last moto of his career. He will not get the overall. It'll go 3-1, and Deegan will beat that with the 1-2. So Deegan gets things back on track after a bunch of crashes last week at Redbud. Really, the story is that.
Straight from cutting the grass to the top of the podium. What a special moment for everybody. It's a feel-good story. Yeah.
John Martin, former off-road racer on motorcycles. Got to be proud of his boys. They both had great careers, a lot of podiums, and maybe none more emotional than that one. Shimoda able to salvage 3rd despite the rear brake problem in the second moto. He goes 2-4. Harrop getting the triumph closer and closer to the podium for him. They already had one last weekend with Swoll, who had another good moto in Moto 2. Dylan Schwartz continues to ride well. He's 7th. Austin Forkner in the top 10.
Yeah, no, best ride by Austin all year. Even Miguel, he was on the podium that second moto, so good job for him. Special day for a lot of different reasons, for a lot of different teams, but none better than the Star Racing Yamaha Jeremy Martin. But Hayden Deegan extending his points lead over 45 over Joe Shimoda. It's going to go down to those two. Levi Kitchen had a rough day. Garrett Marchbank's quietly coming up 3rd on the podium and in overall, so that's going to be up for grabs as well.
Yeah, Marchbanks was quietly effective in Supercross with a couple podiums late. He's actually 4th in the combined points. That's SMX. And those will be the standings when the playoffs begin in September. Deegan going for the three-peat, wants to be the 3-time and only 250 SMX champion ever. So that's how it started. Honestly, we talk more about this being a bounce back race at the beginning of the day for Deegan. How would Shimoda do? How would Kitchen do? They've been going fast lately. Because I don't think any of us knew really where the Jeremy Martin story would fit in. We knew it would be fun. We knew it would be exciting. But I don't think we knew that he would be the closest to beating Deegan today.
Yeah, no, every time we mentioned Jeremy Martin, we thought the story was going to be over. We were like qualified 7th that first one. Then the second practice, he was better. Then he gets the, you know, the kumbaya on the podium before the race, emotional. Comes out, gets a whole shot, great story, but it just kept going. So yeah, that story kept developing as the day goes on. It was really cool, but yeah, it was really about Hayden Deegan, and after what we saw last weekend, trying to bounce back and really stop Joe Shimoda. Levi Kitchen's been up and down all year long, and it was just another day of that. So tough for him in the points. It was going to be a long shot for Levi anyway. I think it's all about race wins, but yeah, look, going away from this race, yes, Hayden Deegan is still the guy that's supposed to win this title. He's still the favorite, but I don't think Joe lost any confidence today. You know, that second moto, maybe he could have won it. The way Jeremy was able to hold off Hayden, who knows? So I don't think Joe lost any confidence, but Hayden did bounce back. But really the story is Jeremy Martin, and the way it is, the way he ends this, and really inspiration for everyone. And I told you off camera.
I was going to bring, you're going to bring this up? I didn't know if you wanted to go there. Say it.
I watched, ever since I've been retired, I watched all these races, and there's not one race that I watched and I'm like, yeah, it makes me want to get back out there. Jeremy Martin made me think about wanting to come back out in a race, because that really was something special. And I don't know him personally. I know of him. I've spoken to him. But when everybody in the pits, every rider is so happy for him, the commentators, we all was pulling for him, just shows you how special that moto was. And it takes a lot to be able to move the needle like Jeremy did today. And really cool for the whole Martin family, Alex, Jeremy, to start racing. And yeah, that was a moment right there for sure.
You're not saying you're going to come back, but it just, to the first time you ever thought that would be cool.
It was the first time I ever thought, like, I was watching him, I'm like, and then, yeah, watching how fast Jet Lawrence was in that 450, I'm like, I'm out. So.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy to replicate that. Show you the manufacturer's points. It's been similar every single week. Hondas or Yamahas in both classes. Remember, Shimoda and Chance Hymas have wins even for Honda in the 250 class this year. And let's not forget what Eli Tomac was doing on a Yamaha 450 at the beginning. Today they go 1-2 again. Honda just able to outscore them. So, hey, even Shimoda salvaging what he did helps out Honda in the manufacturer's standings. When you take the whole season, combine both classes, it is a 32-point lead for Honda over Yamaha. There's the campground, which will be raging because there's more amateur racing tomorrow. They had a great turnout also yesterday, and we show you the campground to remind you that's what makes SMX so cool. You kind of get the best of Supercross and the best of motocross. There is trackside camping available. You have an opportunity to reserve your spot at the races in Charlotte and Las Vegas, but spots are going quick, especially if you want to be trackside. So reserve yours today at SuperMotocross.com. So at SMX, you get the camping experience like a national, like a motocross race, but then all the amenities and the facilities of a Supercross as well. Peacock will have the coverage of those, but also will have re-airs on NBC for those. September 6th, ZMAX Dragway at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Then the Dome in America Center in St. Louis. They will build a hybrid motocross type section there at a place that's hosted many historic Supercross events. And then September 20th, the Strip at Las Vegas, the Drag Strip. That will be the World Championship finale, all coming in September. As for Pro Motocross, this tour heads to Washougal. Give you the Yamaha Racing track map for that track, James.
Yeah, Washougal brings this whole different challenge. Night and day difference between the soul here at Washougal compared to here at Millville. But only thing that these guys got to deal with, the shadows. They always, when we get there, the trees going in and out plays a big factor. Washougal is really hard to pass, so start's always going to be dependent. But look, the guys, the struggles that maybe Chase had on bike setup, he won't have that here at this racetrack. A little bit flatter, the bumps aren't as big, so you might see some guys come back into form, and you want to, end it well before you have that 2-week break. Right when you get Loretta's and all that. So Washougal, always a tough challenge, slippery racetrack. I think Hunter Lawrence is going to be just as good as he was here today, but they got to figure out how to beat Hayden Deegan and Jet Lawrence, and so far they can't, at least in the 450 class.
Yeah, Sexton, that's really one of his better tracks. He's never been off the podium in a moto. I believe he got his first ever 450 overall at Washougal as well. That'll be the Fly Racing Washougal National. The Parts Unlimited upcoming schedule is when and how you can watch it. West Coast time there. So race day live qualifying coverage actually starts at noon Eastern. Everything's going to start 1 hour earlier local time that day so we can fit into an NBC window. So that'll be 3 o'clock Eastern. The first motos, 250 and 450. That's noon at the track at Washougal. We normally start at 1. You can also watch everything live on Peacock or the SMX Video Pass outside the United States. Again, that 2-hour window at the beginning of the day on NBC, James.
And don't forget about Telemundo Deportes. You got Tommy and Hager. Got to listen to those guys. So, yeah, it's going to be good. You got all the coverage across the world for you.
Yep, even a French language broadcast on the SMX Video Pass. But in any language, you got to love what you saw from Jeremy Martin. Not the overall, but he ends his career with a moto win. Yes, job well done. That's putting it lightly. Hayden Deegan, the overall in the 250 class. And the Lawrence brothers on top again, Chet and Hunter in the 450s. For James Stewart, Katie Osborne, and Jason Thomas, I'm Jason Wagan. Thanks for watching Pro Motocross from Spring Creek. We'll see you next weekend in Washougal.